Alright, well, come out to the other shop and start maybe putting this motor together a little bit. I gotta get my dually running so I can get it moving around and in and out the shop so I can do my body work. So the 883, it's just a 2-bolt main, cheap Vortec. 5.7. See if I can get you guys with some light on. Cylinders look real good. This is the cylinder that had the spunt rod bearing in it. Hardly no ring ridge. I got the cheap hone. I shouldn't, but I'm just going to do a real light surface hone with it. I mean, down here there's no, that's just where I slid my fingers. It's not really scratched, but you can see where this thing don't have any lipping down there at the bottom of where the piston travels to the bottom of the cylinder. So I'm guessing this motor has maybe about 80,000 miles on it. It had some oil leaks. I'll be addressing all that. Gotta get in there and get all this cylinders cleaned up real good, but for right now I'm gonna clean this cylinder head mating surfaces up real quick, and I'm gonna hone it. I bought just some cheap main bearings. I think these are the mains, and then these are the rods. I bought some cheap factory piston rings. So I'm just basically freshening up the bottom end, except for the crank. I had to get a new crank when I let me see where we at. Now this is one I polished up. I won't be needing a phaser on the cam, but if you look right here, the rod and the bearing tore that up. That's a lip. Yeah, supposed to be somewhat smooth. This one I polished myself. Everything's pretty clean on there. Used 800 grit. Was it 800? Yeah, 800, 1200, and then 1500 to sand that down, and then some metal polishing compound. So everything feels good on there. So I was gonna put a cam in this and build it up a little bit, but I think just going in my dually for a little bit so I can get the diesel fixed and running good. And so this is just, it is what it is. When I pull this out of the diesel, or out of the dually, put the diesel in, I'll just go in and put a new cam in it then. But I did buy some 1.6 ratio rocker armors for this, so that will boost up some of the lift in the cam. And I'm just going to reuse the cam. And I went out to the junkyard and bought some beehive springs out of some cars. I did just the front cylinders because I didn't want to get in the back cylinders because they was on V6 front wheel drive cars. So I just didn't pull them off the front. And I'm gonna try to put the springs on today and just see what they see how they sit with and then the stock retainers that I pulled with the Beehive springs. I think I need the aftermarket ones that are recessed different, but if not, I'm just gonna try it, and hopefully I don't need to. Hopefully these work. And then I need to get the offset keepers, which will raise it up 50 thou to I want to say 1.8 closed height. But we'll see, and I'll get some measurements and show you what happens if you just pulling some junkyard Beehive springs with the stock retainers for them, how they sit with the stock keepers out of the Vortec. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'll little videos and little measurements out for you when we get started on this, and then when we go to drop the cam in and all that, we'll bring you back. All right, so at this side honed. Yeah, my 45 cross hatching ain't the best, and I've never been real good at. All that's left is that little ridge right around the top, and I believe that's, I mean, it's actually grooved this. I mean, it cut into that. It's like this part here is undercut. So, not sure what that is. I think it's just, you know, where the piston comes up, but yeah, I don't have any dark spots. Everything, I only went in about, 20 times, maybe up and down, and everything's, I mean, you got to make sure that thing don't flop out and get sideways and the things come out, because you'll elongate this. This side will be bigger. Down there, go in. So you just come up in and out, in and out. So this side looks fabulous, man. I believe this is got to be somewhat of a low mile engine that just the owner did not take care of, man. I mean, some of this is WD-40 and stuff that I sprayed on so it wouldn't flash rust when I pulled all the pistons and everything out of here and got it wide open like this. But and I cleaned the surface pretty good. I just took that razor blade scraper I got, scraped it down, used the wire brush, and then come with sandpaper on a block so it stays flat. I just cleaned it up pretty good. So you don't want to put a bunch of force and try to dig at it, because you'll make pockets. Your gaskets won't seal. So that's one side down. I mean, for me to clean the gasket up, gasket material off the block, I should say, and get it wiped down and cleaned out, and get the top of the motor there, whatever, surfaced. I got 15-20 minutes into that, and that's about it, man. So this is gonna be a decent runner. Once I get her all freshened up and put back together, I'm gonna measure my rings though, at least my top rings, because according to my hone, cylinders seem pretty round. So I'm listening to the sound. If it gets tighter, you can kind of feel it and hear it. If the cylinder is, if it's coned, it gets skinnier down at the bottom, you'd be able to hear it a little more. So I'm gonna turn this motor and start on the other side, and then I'll get to flipping it all the way over and putting cam in, and then start ringing the pistons, and then start sliding the pistons in there after I measure the ring gaps. Bring it back, and probably gets a little bit farther along. All right, well, got it all honed out. I'm not real sure if I'm sure y'all know how to do some honing. I didn't video it. I wanted to get it done. A lot of people say, oh, clean out the block after you get done. I just leave all that grit in there. It breaks the rings in faster. No, I'm just kidding. I sprayed it with WD-40, wiped it out. Looked at my rag, still, a little gray, a little dirt. Went through them all one time, went back, did it again, and made sure that no gray, no nothing on the paper towel. And I went and sprayed them down with WD-40 again. So now I can sit here and while I go work on the rings. Or maybe I ought to put I'm gonna work on the rings. So that's what I'm gonna do next. And I'll bring you guys in for that. I'm gonna get set up with all my rings and set over here so I can measure each bore and with new top or with the old top rings first, and then I'll go with the old new top rings and measure what I got. All right, I got it set up a little bit here. I went in and I pulled number 2, 4, 6, and 8 and made sure they were put in that direction. Made sure to wipe off and clean these because they come off the old pistons. So I wanted to make sure there wasn't no dirt, nothing in that. So, and then I took me a piston, I stuck it in there, pushed her down. I put it in there, shoved it down about that far. And you can see I'm down that far. And that seems to be about 30 thou. And I'm not. This is 32. And yeah, these rings are that's a little tight. 32. Yeah, 32 won't fit in there. Come on. Let's see what we got here. 30 fits in there, all right. Maybe probably about 31. That there's 32. That's probably 31, 32. That's probably 31. That's a little tight. So that's not. Okay. So it's looking like everything's 32 except for that one. I'll go back with 32. So yeah, that's 32. A little tight, but yeah, that one's 32. That one's way small. Yeah, that one's pretty good and tight at 32. So looking consistent at 32. What stock is, I'm not positive. I've got to look that up. I don't know right offhand. Come on there. Come on out there. That's 30, 28. I thought it was supposed to be somewhere like 20, but I could be wrong. Could be 30. It's a little loose. 25. Here's 28. 28 fits in there. It's a little snug, so it's like 27, 28. So, I had to do some looking up to see exactly what that is because its numbers are a lot bigger than what I thought. That lifter boards. I gotta clean them out real good still. The top of this engine was covered with some sludge. Well, I'm gonna get on the old outer web and look up and see what some of these ring specs are, and then I'll throw the new rings in and we'll go through and see what the measurement is on them. All right, I'm back. I found a thing. It's 25 thou. That's about where I was thinking. So remember, this one here was around 25, whatever. So I go over here and I move this from here to there. So I moved the one with the 25 ring gap from this cylinder to here to just to see is it the cylinders that are wore? Is this cylinder still smaller and these has gotten bigger? No, I checked the ring gap, 25 thou. It's actually, this ring is just not wore out as the other ones. So I'm gonna push these down a little farther in the cylinder and measure them. They should be what they are now, hopefully. Here's the rings I went with, man. There's no way you could get it wrong. First ring, look, and it even shows you the little line that goes there. Second ring's in the second groove, and then it shows you the oil rings are at the bottom. Let's check these out. So, it even's got 921 standard part numbers on it. They look to be, I mean, it's pretty all right for the price I paid for them. I think they were cheap. They were really cheap. I'm surprised. Let's see. They got instructions. Look at that in Spanish. And then let's see. Look, it even tells you with number 5, piston ring and top, land 2 piston ring and top, piston ring with marker up. And then it basically tells you the break-in, the start engine, the speed should be around idle speed until engine reaches operating temperature. Move hard comes in the grooves and drain holes. Yeah, I mean, they got the whole instructions on how to install. Man, first time I've ever read instructions, but the markers, I would assume, that means the marker. I'm checking the number 2s. Let's see. Yeah, I would assume that means them are going to be the up ones. Part numbers are the same, so I guess you can't really mess up on putting the number 1 land or number 2 land, top ring or number second land ring. So easy peasy. I'm gonna slide these down here. I'm gonna get a measurement on the middle of the bores. The wear that I've seen when I was honing, everything should still be the same. And I'll get to ringing these, measuring the new rings. I'll bring you back for the new ring measurements, and then I'll start cleaning pistons and then slapping rings on it. Get the pistons all set up, and then we'll drop the cam in, or the crank in, set the rods and pistons in, and get them torqued down. All right, so I put the number 1 or the top number 1 piston rings in here, and I put my piston ring in down a little bit, or my piston down. Push my piston rings down a little farther. When I did the farther down in the rings with the old rings, it got a little tighter, so it tells me the tops are a little bit bigger than down below in the cylinder. Yeah, I could have measured it with a boring tool, or bore measurement tool, whatever it's called. I can't remember. I don't have one, and that's just a step that I ain't never did. The just for simple fact is that my rings can tell me a lot. I mean, now if I had a real wore out motor, then that'd be a little different. So these are down farther. You can tell I've got my numbers up, markers saying the rings are up. You see that 25. See, just a tad bit loose. So, and my next Yeah, these feel really good. My next gauge up is 28. I got more than over there in the thing, and 28 don't fit. So it says 25. So I'm at about 26, maybe 26 and a half, maybe. But I think it's about 26, and it all seems to be consistent through the whole thing. So my tops are good. I'll do my number twos to check my number two. They should be the same. You know, they're all the same part number. So everything's consistent. So you know there's really nothing you can do about ring gap being kind of big. Just a little wear on the motor. Let me see if I got a different gauge here. See, there's 0.5, 0.20, 0.25. There's a 26 right there. Oh, my finger's in the way. We'll check to see how this. Yeah, that 26 barely fits in there. I have to kind of give it a little wiggle. Oh yeah, that's. There she goes. Yeah, so they're 26, man. Let me double check, make sure I'm about there. Yeah. Yep, 26. I don't think I'm going to do check number two. The twos are all consistent cut. And from the looks of how the quality of them rings, I believe they're all going to be measured out the same. So I'm just going to get to cleaning the pistons, getting them ringed, getting the cam set in, and I need some plastic gauge, but I don't have any, so we may just slap together without checking oil clearance. If it sounds like a diesel when we start it up, because all the ticking and clacking, we know it's the main bearings. Well, it'll be the rod bearings too, because I don't have any plastic gauge. I really don't want to go into town and get any ads. I mean, it's a 40 minute drive, and I don't want to do it. So I'm gonna pop the rings out. Since it didn't cut any, I don't really have to worry about them being taken out. Saying, hey, this is number one, this is number two, because none of them need to be ground down. So set these off to the side, and then I'll get all these. Yeah, I like the quality of these rings. Actually, they're not that bad. They engine mock, and then my engine tech made in Israel. You know, so I don't know anything about Israel stuff. So as long as it wasn't made in China, we good. That says. I think he said made in Mexico, but I just seen India on the other thing. Huh. That set may have been made in India, but I could have swore I seen something that said made in Mexico. Maybe I was wrong. Huh. Could have swore. And then there's your 1.5, 1.5, and 3. Yeah. Yeah, here's where I see Mexico. So I can't read. I don't know what that says, but oh well. That's what I got for rings. They seem like pretty good quality. They don't seem to be too, inferior. So I'm gonna get on these pistons, start cleaning them, start slapping new rings on them, and make sure we clock our rings, and so they don't line up, the gaps don't, and we'll flip this out. Well, we'll throw some oil in the cylinders, a little bit of assembly lube or something in the cylinders. Maybe I got some 530 full synthetic right there. Yeah, that's some Napa brake cleaner. Dawn. You don't use Dawn to wash your hands, man. You're missing out. My hands stay somewhat pretty clean. I got them hand scrubs I use at work all the time. So, but anyways, I'm dragging out, and I'm gonna get this pistons done. Bring it back and get the cam set in, and we start torquing it. All right, so all set up. I'm doing left side, driver's side for some of you that can't remember which is which. Number one has got a little bit of stuff on there, which it's not bad. This is the one that had the bad rod bearing. Why, why it's was knocking, obviously. That's what I'm doing. Just, I'm kind of a lucky guy. I got a buddy of mine named Clint. He's got a nice shop that, he's got some, pretty nice place. Wish he'd get his boat out of my shop, though. I mean, his, but I claim it as mine. But I'm pretty fortunate, man, to have a buddy like him, man. He's actually at work, and we was gonna go through and redo this motor before together. He's never done one, so we were gonna kind of do it together so he could have a little bit of learning. And but unfortunately, he can't make it today. He had to work. So we're gonna get these cleaned up, and we'll start installing rings. That's pretty much it. Yeah, they like, hey, make sure you put stamp number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever on your things, and know which way. Well, I just use paint marker, and then for knowing which direction they go in the motor, there's 2 dots. Now on your cam, or your cam, on your crank, you'll have where 2 pistons will be on a journal like this. Okay, so facing the front of the motor, these dots will face, or the piston on this side that's closest to the front of the motor, the dots will be facing that way. And then the one on the back side facing the rear of the motor on that journal like this will be dots facing the front. And then this piston, or this connecting rod, the dots will be on this side facing the rear of the motor. And that's how I keep track of how them go on for this motor. Some motors won't have markings like that. Some may even have like a little arrow, like on the main caps on the motor. It's got arrows pointing towards the front of the motor. So that's just a little trick that I watch when I build these. All right, well, time to clean these up and get them ringed. All right, so I just took a ring and broke it in half. Got it square in. That end's a little didn't break real straight, which gives me the point on there, help me dig out. But I used the square end. I just go in there, run it flush, kind of flat all the way around to clean these. I can use the edges to go around the pistons here. Help scrape that black up off the sides here. The carbon. But I'm gonna take a nylon brush and go over all these too. But yeah, make sure you clean everything off, and you can go in there and look at the oil ring area. Yes, yeah, a lot of gunk right there. There. Hear that in the background? That's YouTube playing, and it's just playing whatever it wants. But guys, I think he's actually building a Ford engine. So and I'll nylon brush this, and make sure everything's really clean. Oil ring that spot looks really good. Yeah, so you got ADHD, boy. This right here will give you something to do with your hands for a while. That's for sure. I don't mind doing this stuff because I'm lazy. I like to sit around and pretty much do nothing. So this is pretty much what it is. So yeah, see that little gunk right there. So the guy's talking about somebody missing bolts, trying to take cover off, and they broke it because they're missing bolts. Well, that'd been me. So. Yeah, see how tight that is right there. Get through there. Clean off that ring. In there. Keep scraping. Yep. So there's a spot on the number 7 piston. Right here. Right there. Like I might have dropped it. Yeah, if I remember right, I think I did drop one when I took it out. So I'll take a little file, make sure it's smooth. It feels smooth in my hand, but I want to make sure. I'll double check. Let's see if I can't find me a nice little file. And of course, I'm knocking everything over. Trying to get my butt sit down in the seat. It's got wheels on it, man. I wasn't expecting for it to roll out from underneath me. Is that my dimple? My dimple's right here. So I'll make sure it's flat with the piston. Get the face of it. That tells me that part there is pretty straight. Well, make sure you don't try to take a bunch off there because it might mess up how it sits and rides in that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Really good. I don't know if that is, but I'm gonna double check. That could just be some knocked off some of the carbon. Yeah. Yep, these are all clean except for the tops. I don't know. I may clean them, I may not. Who knows? Alright, well, showed y'all how I kind of clean up the lands in there. I'll get the scrubbing on the tops. I'm not going to hit them real hard. I'm not worried about it. I'll just get this sides right here on the tops. Get my here. And I'll do a little bit here. And, build up right here. Make it a dome piston. Get more horsepower. Make more compression. And that's what we need. I did buy, I want to say, 0.026 compressed thickness head gaskets. That will hopefully boost my compression up a little bit. Hopefully, 9.5, 9.5, something like that. Not 100% sure. I'll have to do some math, and well, needless to say, I flunked math in high school, so not really, but that sounded funny. I'll get the compression ratio eventually. I'll figure it out. And, what else did I buy? Oh yeah, I told you I bought some 1-to-6 rockers. A whole new gasket kit for this whole motor. It's all gonna be brand new gaskets. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. I'm hoping to, increase the horsepower a little bit because it's a bigger truck. Hopefully maybe a little more torque and a little more horsepower. With the rocker arms, I'll get a little more increase, and then with the little higher compression, that'll give me a little more too. And then obviously going with carbureted 4-barrel intake and headers, that's going to give me a little bit of a boost. So yeah, I should get, I don't know, I'm hoping at least 20 more horsepower just to from stock. So if we make it, we make it. If not, yeah, I don't know. I won't know if I make it or not anyways, because I've never had this motor running. I don't know what it felt like, and I don't have a dyno, so it is what it is. All right, bring you back later. All right, got the rings on. Pistons, they're all cleaned up. Look at that.
And then here's the difference in the rings. On number one, or on the top ones, they've got that silver right there. But the second one don't. So that's the difference between the one and the two. Yeah, I wore gloves. I took some Lucas Assembly lube and lubed up all the rings a little bit. Actually, quite a bit. But I mean, I'll wipe around the rings here when I put them in the motor a little bit to get a little bit of if there's too much access on there. I don't know if I'm going to do much more today. Probably come out tomorrow and put the cam in or the crank in, and then finish up the other 4 pistons and rings. I was hoping to kind of get them all done today, but it didn't work out that way for me. So it's not a big deal. I mean, I built it at my own time. Yeah, I'm cutting the day short because I'm hungry. I need to go get home and get me something to eat. So I'll go ahead and post this one a little bit later on today, and then make another video putting everything together. So, yep, we'll see you on the next one.